Empires of Light is a good example of the Tesla problem that infects even well-educated historians. Jill Jonnes is a historian. She is the author of several books, including South Bronx Rising, The Rise and Fall and Resurrection of an American City, and Empires of Light, Edison, Tesla, Westinghouse, and the Race to Electrify the World. She has been a National Endowment for the Humanities Scholar and received several grants from the Ford Foundation. Jonnes graduated from Barnard College with a BA in 1974 and Columbia University with a Master of Science in 1977. She also graduated from the same university with a PhD in 1992. Even though she had a rather down-home narrative style, Jonnes's information is generally accurate with one glaring exception. I think that this highlights the need for some technical background, if not with the author, at least with the research assistants. This is particularly evident when dealing with Tesla. On page 289 of Empires of Light, she writes, "At the mill, the electricity was stepped down to power a 100 horsepower single-phase Tesla motor. The question was, would it run reliably? So all that summer, fall and winter, and all through 1892, the Westinghouse engineers were delighted as the simple power system and the sturdy motor hummed steadily along. The Tesla AC system had passed its first real job with flying colors." This statement is untrue in several respects. According to Jonnes, she was taking her info from a paper by Charles Scott. She says that it was published in the Electrical Engineer, June 5, 1892. It appears that was no such article, not at least in the publication she cites. She is likely referring to a paper with an identical title and date that was published by Scott in the American Institute of Electrical Engineers Transactions of June 1892, shown here. Although the page number does not appear on the first page of the article, it is actually page 425. Here, on page 430 and 431, Scott, who was an engineer with Westinghouse at the time, identifies the plant he is talking about as being located near Telluride, Colorado, and owned by L.L. Nunn. In this plant, a Pelton wheel turbine drives an alternating current generator. The current from the generator drives an alternating current synchronous motor of 100 horsepower. On page 431, we are shown a wiring diagram for the setup. On the left is a synchronous generator, or alternator. On the right is a synchronous motor. To the left of the synchronous motor is a Tesla motor used to start the synchronous motor. Scott says that a synchronous motor requires an auxiliary starting device. That's what the Tesla motor was used for, and not as a means of driving a mill load. He continues that this motor comes up quickly to the normal speed and then has ample capacity for bringing the armature of the large motor up to speed. The large motor is then excited and runs as a self-excited alternating current dynamo. The small motor is then switched off. Although Scott says that the Tesla motor has ample capacity to perform its synchronizing function, he was an employee of the Westinghouse Company at that time and might well be expected to say that. An article on page 176 of Cassier's magazine, January 1905, by P.N. Nunn, one of the mine owners, has a different story. He says that the main motor was brought up to synchronous speed by a single-phase induction starting motor, which received its current at full line voltage. The current taken by the starting motor was more than the full load current of the main motor. This starting motor even required starting by hand, its torque being zero at starting and so feeble at low speeds that when cold it could only with the greatest difficulty be persuaded to pull up to speed its belt and loose pulley. It's clear from these two articles that this was not the proving ground for the Tesla motor. It's understandable that anyone with no technical training who thinks erroneously that Tesla invented AC might make this mistake.